Right, what have we got today? It is another headlamp. Boom, there's a surprise for this channel. This is a quick one to review of the Sandmarc Pro headlamp. I'd never heard of Sandmarc. When I first saw the logo from a distance, I thought, is that GoPro? It isn't. It's Sandmarc, although they do make sort of like lens add-ons for iPhones and things like that, but that's not what this review is about. So Sandmarc sent me this. They said, Trail Trek, this is definitely, without shadow of a doubt, or fear of contradiction, this is right up your street, so take a look at it, give us an honest review. I've done in fact, if you look up here, I did a thoughts video, which was a quick sort of, I'd been playing around with about a week, and that was my thoughts video, so boom, get rid of that, whoosh. And I quite liked it. The thing I liked about it was the fact that it's multifunctional. You can rotate it and tilt it and all sorts of cool things like that. But there are a few things which I think could possibly do with changing. But just my opinion. So honest review. They don't get to see this. They don't get to edit it. Blah blah blah. All that is an honest review. The usual stuff for this channel. Okay, enough time wasted. Right, Sandmarc Pro headlamp. So let's have a quick look at the box. Very straightforward box. Not a lot to say other than it does show you can put it under like a hood of a car if you are working on things. And they are saying detachable band, true, magnetized base, it is on the back there, dual axis rotation, so it rotates like that and up and down, but I will show you that. And hurrah, hurrah, type C charging, my favorite. Pouch included, which I actually quite liked. I thought it would be cheap, it isn't. And it's got different modes, yes, in other words, output intensity and red light mode, which is a auxiliary mode. There's your dimensions in millimeters for the non-imperialists there, and the weight is very low at 53 grams, so it's a small kind of ultralight. It does have design in California. You know what my thoughts are on companies who put that sort of thing, so I'm not going to cover that again. If you want one of my mega rants, go and have a look at, I think it was that review I did on the Bosch screwdriver. But enough of me whinging, right, get rid of that. Right, so let's get this out of the box because this becomes boring. Nobody likes the unboxing, they want to see what's actually in the box. So not a lot, so there you go, empty, boosh, get rid of that, chuck it in the bin, not really that interested. Here is the pouch, which I actually quite liked. You've got like a sort of a fake PU leather here, which looks okay, and it is branded there. This is pretty good actually. It's quite soft, and I'll show you why, because inside it's got like an insert, and then it's got this over here to stop the zip going all the way, and the zip's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a YKK, that's not what this is for. Goes all the way around like that, and then the back is plain. No sort of hook and loop if you want to put morale patches on if you are, in the military or whatever. And it does have a little link here if you want to attach it to stuff. Now, like I say, I was quite impressed with this actually. It's pretty decent, and the reason why, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but it's actually padded. So that just doesn't just go straight through to that, it's actually padded, and they've included this, which will go on here if you want. It's not like a full carabiner, it's one of these ones which is pressure fitted, so it's like that, it's spring loaded. It's fine, it does the job, and as you can see, the paint's come off a little bit when I've used it, but it does work, it's fine. So it does work, no problems, and it's nice and thin. But like I say, both sides of this, it's almost like they've got like a soft insert, I like it, so pretty decent, and you've got this elasticated webbing section, which I appreciate, and I'll show you everything you get. Let's take everything out here. So that was the thing that the light was in. The actual light itself is there, and there's the pouch, which I'm sure not many people are interested in. I just want to mention the fact that it's not a cheapy thing. It actually feels quite nice, so get rid of that. You get your little cleaning cloth. I'm not really sure why. I feel like this is probably from their lens products, because there's not a lot to clean on this other than this tiny little lens. So you're going to put that on your little finger and then poke it down there? I don't know. It's included anyway. Who knows what that's for? Not sure. Boom. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Here's their cable. I took off the little cinch that was on it because I have tried it for charging purposes and it does work, but we'll put that to one side and I will prove that in a second. Here's the light itself. Very impressed. Fit and finish, very nice. Although there are a lot of plastic here, and you've got like little hex keys here. It's pretty well made and I like how they've done it. So we'll look at the band first. So it's your standard elasticated. There is no sort of flashings on this which would have like reflective surfaces, which you'll find on stuff like Bright Night and the Night Eyes and things like that. But the Night Course, sorry. But it's a decent band. It didn't change or perish when I used it. It's easy to adjust. And on the inside, it has like a soft fleece material, kind of. In fact, you can see my thumbnail going in there. You see it's very soft, so extremely comfortable to wear. I was impressed with that. It's not very wide and it's not a 3-pointer, but because this is very small and 53 grams, that wasn't an issue. I even ran up and down some paths with this on my head and it didn't jiggle around. It was absolutely fine. So no issues there. It's only 53 grams. So let's discuss some of the stats on this before I show you all these little cool things you can do and click it up and down and things like that. So Sandmarc Pro headlamp, 500 lumens maximum. That's from here, which is going to be your main beam. And here's your auxiliary red light. It does have a red light. It's either red light on, flashing or off. That's it, and we'll go through that on the UI. It is a Type C, so as you can see there's your Type C, so great. And they do include a Type A, which is that end USB, to a Type C USB, so handy. In regards to charging though, there is a slight issue, and we'll cover that in a moment. So internal, you have a 400 milliamp hour battery. Now just for comparison, here is the rather small Night Core. This is the NU21, sorry, and as you can see, that has a 500 milliamp hour battery, which is very small. This one is 100 milliamp hours smaller, so just for reference there. So very small, so it charges quite slowly. Now let's go over charging. So if you want to charge this, I'm going to use their cable here, so Type A, which never goes in the right damn way, as you know. So let's get this plugged in, and you would undo this, which is pretty decent, and you can stuff that in there. I was quite impressed, although they have not provided me with waterproofing, so I don't know the IP rating. It's unknown at this stage. So you plug that in, and then that's red when it's charging, and then it comes off, and you know when it's finished. It's charging at a very low rate there, but it is nearly full because I charged this, I think it was last night. So 5 volts at 0.1 of an amp, very slow charging, but remember it's a 400 milliamp hour battery, so you don't need, a 2 amp whopper going in there. It's probably not necessary, although I did find it quite slow charging for its size. So that works. So you think, okay, Type C, fantastic. Let's get a Type C to Type C test going. Let's see what happens here. So I have quite a few little cables, as you might imagine. So here is a Type C to Type C, okay? Now I know this is a good cable because I've used it many times on many lights. So let's get this plugged in. Let's see what happens. Nothing. 0.0 of an amp. Nothing. No red light, nothing. Not charging. Interesting. Okay, maybe I'm at fault. Maybe that cable is a load of rubbish. Let's try another one that I know works. It definitely works because I've tried it. So let's try this one. So Type C, boom, to Type C. Let's try. Come on, let's see if we can get some charge here. Nothing. Okay, you could argue, you're an idiot, Trail Trek. Turn that on. You're at fault. Okay, let's turn it on then. Nothing. Nothing again. Right, okay. Maybe I'm a double at fault. Okay, so maybe that's a load of rubbish. Okay, let's try another one with another cable. So third Type C cable and a massive 140 watt charger here. So let's try this with a 100, more than 100 watt rated cable here. So just to show you, to prove I'm not cheating here. So let's go for the 140 watt cable. Haha, here we go. Time to charge. No red light, nothing. And that is at 100%. That is charged. Okay, maybe I'm at fault again. Let's try another. Anything? Nothing. Just to prove that that does work, let's go back to the original cable. So where's the one that it comes with? So let's go Type A to Type C. Let's see if that charges. Just to prove, let's have a little look here. And it charges, what a surprise. There you go. At 0.5 of a watt there. Okay, so here's the problem. So it's Type A to Type C compatible. Yes, it's not power delivery compatible. However, I fiddled and fiddled and fiddled and fiddled more than a professional violin player, and I was able to eventually find one cable and one 65 watt, no, it was a 45 watt X-Tar wall mounted AC to power delivery system that would charge this. But you shouldn't have to do that as a customer. You shouldn't have to have millions of cables and millions of different systems and hopefully find one that works. So I'm going to have to say, as far as I'm concerned, power delivery is not working, or not to a level where I could say, if you buy this, it will work. So just bear that in mind. So I will mark them down for that. Power delivery for me, I'm sorry, it's a fail. But it is Type C. So it's kind of getting there. It's getting there. Something you need to think about. Okay, so let's go over the UI. So you have you've got 4 output levels on this main one. You've got your low, medium and high, and then a turbo. But the turbo does have a step down, as you might imagine. On this size of light, you're going to zap the cell trying to output 500 lumens on this. Okay, so let's go over that. So click and on, and then you go through, the click takes you through the modes and then off again. So very, very simple UI. So let's go through that. Now it's a reverse, which is a bit weird. So you start on high, which is 200. Then it goes to medium, which is 100. And then it goes to low, which is 50 lumens. Now you can't change this. You can't say, well, I want to start on 50 and go the other way, which is a bit of an annoyance. And then you think, well, okay, well, let's say you've gone to level 2 and you now want to turn it off. How do you do that? Well, you've got to go through the damn UI to turn it off. Now there is a way around that. Let's say you turn that on, and you've got it on your head, and you've been walking around and you think, right, now I want to turn it off. Because you've had it on a specific period of time, it will disregard the UI and immediately turn it off, so that you do have that option. So you see there. So if you leave it for 8 to 10 seconds, it disregards the UI and any click will immediately turn it off. But if you are doing it within that 8 to 10 seconds, you're going to have to go through the whole damn UI. Or if you're knocking it on by accident, you've got to go turn off, turn off, turn off. Right, finally, now it's off. Now I find that annoying, and it's reminiscent of the UI that you can get on the Nebo Micro, where you've got to go, if you knock that on, you think, right, I've got this on, right, oh, I need to turn that off. Oh, I can't, I've got to go through that mode, and the green man, and the red, right, get off, and then it goes back in the pocket, and you feel annoyed for the rest of the day. So, again, I'm going to have to take a bit of a mark off for the UI. It's not how I would do it, but if they're going for the mainstream market, maybe that's a thing. I'm not sure, but as a flashaholic, not my cup of tea. So to get the other modes, you would turn it on. Now when it's on, now bear in mind it starts high, medium, low, as you know. Now if you click and hold, there, that is your maximum output. So it's quite warm there on my hand. So it is putting out about 500-ish lumens. Now the problem with that, because this is a 400 milliampere battery, very small, and you don't want to zap the power too quickly, this comes with a 30-second step down, because I have sat and timed it. And I've been out in cold weather and I've been out in warmer weather and done it in the house, and it seems the same. It seems timed rather than temperature. So if you watch here, I'm not pressing the buttons here. So there it is on its maximum. So that is your 500 lumens. And any second now, if I've timed this correctly, there you go, boom, off. So it drops. It doesn't turn off, but it drops. And then because it's been on a period of time, you can click to immediately take it off. Your other mode is to double click. So in other lights, that would generally be a turbo, but if you double click, you'll get your red light mode. I didn't find that bright enough. It's fine if I was sitting down doing things, it was absolutely fine and up close. But when I put this on my head and tried to walk along a dirt path, especially if it was wet, it almost wasn't enough. You'd probably be okay in really dry weather or in a desert or something like that, or highly reflective minerals in the ground. Other than that, not quite. So again, I'm going to have to knock a point off for that. I don't think it's bright enough, in my personal opinion. And then you press again, and it's off. You do have a flashing mode, but I'm not going to go for that because nobody uses that anyway, do they? Okay, so in regards that light, what actually were we getting there? So, in fact, yeah. Bring a picture up here. So I did some testing. There you go. Right. I did some testing, and the tint, in other words, the Kelvin value, which is representative of what you see, was 5,604 Kelvin. In other words, it was heading towards the sort of, I mean, basically 5,000-ish, I would claim, and is neutral. It wasn't warm, and it was heading towards the light end of the spectrum. And there is some tint shift there in the beam itself, as an artifact of how that works. Especially if you put it on the ground there, you can see that it sort of shifts between two. But in general, it's 5,604. That was the average that I came up with there. And the CRI, in other words, colour rendering index, bearing in mind 100% is natural sunlight, where you get the full beautiful gamut of colours. This was okay. It was 66.7. About 70% is where I would like to say most beams. Any lower than that, it becomes more apparent. And as you get higher, the 95 plus CRIs look more beautiful. I prefer those. They're better to look at, and you get more colours. Well, the more colours become more easier to see. Put it that way. You're not seeing something. It doesn't make things invisible. But 66 is okay. I've seen a hell of a lot lower on bigger, more expensive brand names. So okay, I'll let them off with that. Okay, so get rid of that picture. Right, that gets rid of that. I didn't do too many side-to-sides. If you want side-to-sides, you can go to the previous video that I did. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you sort of examples and side-by-sides film. So don't worry, we will get to that. So I'm going to try and keep this quick. So let's go over the pros and cons. Then I'll show you some lights that I compared it with, and then we'll go outside and we'll have a proper look together. Okay, so pros. Nice pouch. It is actually nice, and I have a lot of pouches from a lot of different companies. I like Maxpedition and things like that, and Pentagon, I've got some stuff from them. It's actually above what I was expecting. It doesn't feel like it's being made by, you know, a complete idiot in a shed in, you know, some strange location. Decent. Okay, I'll give them that. Magnet, which I haven't even discussed. So you get this magnet. So if I have, let me have a look. That'll do. That's metallic. There you go. So if you have something metallic, the magnet is in here. So clank. There you go. And when it's on a surface, you have the added alternative of, you can, I'll do it sideways actually so you can see. You can click this up, see, and it stays. And I've done this and run up and down a path and it didn't move. So it's quite stiff, but good, and I like the click, so you know what it's doing. So you can have that at all those different angles, which is pretty cool. And then within those angles, this rotates as well on an axis. So watch, and it does 360 degrees with a click. So click, 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 click. So no matter what angle you want that, boom, you can have it. I think that's great for sticking it on something, because I've got a few magnetic lights which are okay. I've used this one for PC building regularly. There's a magnet in the base there, and I normally have that and then do that, and then I'm fiddled with things. This seems to have more options. You can literally, you know, put that exactly where you want. Very impressed with that. I think that's a great feature, and I'll mark them up for that. And it also reminds me of the Wubin H5 that has a similar system. So on theirs, you can rotate it like that, and then rotate this. But it doesn't have the flick up, obviously. But it's similar. It's similar. But then you've got to take it out and things like that. But it's decent. And that does have a hidden magnet, which you can't see there. I think it's behind here, if I remember rightly. So, okay, I'll give them that. Take that metal off. Boom. So I like that. Type C, I really like that. Power delivery, I got it to work once on a very specific setup. Other than that, as I've just showed you before, without cheating, fail. Sorry. No good. It works whilst it's on, so whilst it's charging you can run it. That's an important feature on a light, especially if you're camping. I think that's really important, and it's not really talked about in a lot of reviews, so thumbs up for that. I appreciate that. Works from any angle. The red light's okay up close, indoors, or with bright surfaces, but if it's dark and you've got it at a head height, or at least my head height, I'm 6'4", it was just not enough, in my personal opinion. Very lightweight, and I like this soft headband. I appreciate that, because when you've got to wear something for hours, especially if you're sweating, it does make a difference. I'm not one of these reviewers who walks out into the garden for 30 seconds and puts it on my head and says, fantastic, I've never used anything so great. Right, next, give us some cash. No, not going to do that. Okay, so the cons, we need to really go over these. Right, red light isn't enough. The cell's quite small, 400 milliamp hours. Bear in mind the NU21, it's not much bigger. And still light is bigger. I wish they'd been able to get a larger sort of capacity in there. And I realise it's a small, you could put this in ultralight capacity. It's not meant to be massive, but the way it's being marketed on the website looks like it is. You've got people wandering through the mountains and things like that, so okay. Price is very high on this for what you're getting, but there's a lot of high-end ones like that. I get it. So it's slightly higher than I would have liked. And you've got that 30-second step down, but that's understandable because of the cell size. The UI, not a fan. Because you turn it on, you go, right, oh, let's turn that off. Oh, I can't, I've got to go 1, 2, 3, right. It's not as bad as the Nebo Micro, where you've got to go through a million things in green light mode and red light mode, but maybe that could do with a change and have double click for turbo or something. Just something for the company to think about there. So that's all I can really say on it. So let's give this a mark. Right, I've got to be fair here. It just gets a 7. And I'll tell you why it gets a 7. I think this is brilliant, and I have used this in the garage there. I love that. I think that's really good, and it feels dead firm. And I tried it at different angles, and I ran up and down lanes, and it didn't change. It doesn't flop around, and I like that. This is comfortable and tight, and the magnets are an added feature. And the charging's okay. It's not the fastest, but it doesn't need to be on this sort of cell. And I like it's very lightweight, and it feels comfortable to use. There's just those things that I would change. So they're on the right path. Just change the UI and brighten this up. I mean, I don't know why that's not bright, because watch, when you put it on, it's actually two separate LEDs there. Look, if I cover that, there's that one, you see, and then there's the other one. So there's two down there. I don't know why it's so, maybe source a different supply for your red LEDs. That's just something you might want to think about. And then this is fine. It actually spreads out more than I expected. I thought it was going to be pretty restrictive, but it's okay for a headlamp. And for walking around, it was no problems. And I tried it in tunnels and all sorts of things. No problem. Okay, so it just gets a 7, just. And I'm being kind there. So a few things that might want to try and change. Now, a few of the lights I checked it with, so 2 seconds there. I tried it with, which I just had before there. Similar sort of size, form factor, and very lightweight, but it does have that sort of system which is reminiscent of the quick lace system on the Solomon shoes. I like this. It was just, if you remember my review, it was just enough to trail run by. This is something like 370 lumens. That's very low, so that beats it, but this is more diffuse. It has a really nice diffuse beam, extremely diffuse. If you look at the comparison here, if we turn these on, see how that's more spotty? It isn't when you pull back, but obviously there's a difference there. But obviously that's going to stretch further than this Nightcore on the right here. And it's a nicer tint, in my personal opinion. So there, turn that off. Now I've got to go through them all again, right? Boom, boom. I know I went too far, right? Now get off, right? See what I mean about the UI? So there's just another option. I checked it with the Brianite HL16. Similar, you can do this and rotate that. You get a similar effect. It uses a different cell though. It is magnetic charging, which is nice. And it does have the magnet on the base. But it is a 16340, I think, cell. Yes, it is. And TIR, but quite punchy, and you hold and go there. So very bright though. So this is different. It's 502 lumens on this, 500 on this on turbo with a 30-second step down. I think the maximum on that is less than 400, something like 360, 370. And I also checked it with the H5, which I mentioned before, and it's got this base which does that, and it's very nice. And it's got a 14500 cell in there where you can pull it out, and it's got a Type-C, which does work. But you've got to take it out. So do you want the hassle of that? But it's a nice wide beam on that, extremely wide. If you want to see how wide that is, you can go to the previous video, which I mentioned at the start there. But just another option there. Better waterproof than I would possibly guess, although I still haven't got a drop rating or a IPX rating for this, which again fills me with a little bit of trepidation. And I checked it with the Nebo Micro. Yes, I know they got rid of the flickering eventually, and it's not a bad light. If you stick this on your head and use it without being sort of prejudiced and saying, well, it's cheap and small, it does an okay job, but that UI is horrific and flicker on mine. So there's some problems. And the green mode and red mode isn't quite bright enough in my personal opinion. If you wanted a high CRI one, you could go for the H16 from Acebeam. It's your more traditional right angle setup like this. 14500 cell again, which is a Type-C charging on the cell itself, so you've got to take it out and charge it. Nice band there with the almost like a silicon beam there, which gives you better grip, and the waffle design, which helps with sweat. Although it's not soft inside, but I never wore this and went, ooh, my head's sore. That never happened. And this is a nice soft rubber compound, and it is a high CRI, that should say there. It says CRI 90, but I think when I tested it, it was way above that, and it is a neutral tint with a 5000 Kelvin value on that. Very nice. In fact, I'll just show you that. If I can get it to work. Now, how do you... I think you click and hold, you do. There you go. So very nice tint on that, isn't it? I didn't do this in HDR, but it's 4K, so you can gauge the quality, I'm sure. There. Okay, so 7 just gets a 7. There's things I would definitely change. If you agree with me or disagree, stick them down below. I'm a free speech channel. Stick what you want, and we'll work on this together to maybe help this company make some changes which will send them through to the stratosphere. So nice first attempt here at a headlamp. I love this feature. I think that's dead cool, and I have genuinely used it in the garage. Haven't used it on the car yet because nothing's broken, but look at that. I think that's really cool. I like that. I like added features and a magnet base there without adding too much weight. So well done. Okay, so 7 out of 10. Not bad, but could do better. And I've done loads of footage and side by side, so let's go and have a look at that now. Goodbye.